So, um, let's get started. And the fact that so many of you have come tells me that this is really a topic that interests EFL teachers. If I recall years ago, when you are a new teacher of English, then especially if you're a non-native speaker, you're a little hesitant of going into that topic. Obviously, times have changed, and right now, after so many years in an English-speaking background, I feel very secure in teaching that. But I can understand that some of you probably wonder, and they say, well, this is an area where I need a little bit more help. Okay, why does pronunciation matter? And I'm asking you out there who are joining me today, what do you think? Why does pronunciation matter? Does anybody want to give us an answer?
Thanks to pronunciation, we can express our ideas easily, I think.
Yes. And why would we need pronunciation if we speak English?
Because if we pronounce some words wrong, and maybe the others can be misunderstood, because of our wrong pronunciation.
Yeah, pronunciation actually is very important. Maybe you have realized in your life that you addressed a person, the person answers you in English, and you didn't understand that. That happened to me after I had been an English teacher for quite some time. I arrived in New York, and I entered the street there, and a person came to me and said something in English. And obviously, I didn't understand him. Why? We learned the pronunciation at school, and here I had to do with an individual who lived in the streets of New York on a daily basis. So I wasn't able to understand the man. Today, I know what he wanted. He wanted me to give him money, but at that time, I really didn't understand him. Time has gone by, over 40 years, and I understand everybody. But that tells us that pronunciation is really important for not causing communication difficulties. So when we talk about phonology, obviously, as English teachers, you know already that this is the study of the sound system. And we talk about phonemes in English, and those are the smallest units of sounds. As an example, if you say deep and dip, what's the difference? Who can help me here? What's the difference between deep and dip? Nobody? Well, deep is an adjective.
Short E and long E.
Very good. Yes. And it creates a difference between two words. So that tells us again that phonology is really important to help people understand each other's. Now, in English, when we study phonology, we look at the sounds. And who can tell me what sounds do we have in English and how do we differentiate between the sounds? Does anyone know that? You can speak. Well, we have vowels and we have consonants. and we classify them based upon the way we pronounce these sounds. And then we talk, go ahead. Whoever wanted to speak, go ahead, say it. No? Okay, let me go on. And then we talk about suprasegmental features. And these are also very important in phonology, and they refer to stress, intonation, rhythm, which make up the English language. And if we are not very knowledgeable at those, we have then misunderstandings and people don't understand us. So phonology is important in the language. We have to know it. So who of you in the audience could explain to us what word stress is? I mean, I could read it here quickly, but I like to work with you, that you join me and you help me a little bit in presenting these topics I have here. What is word stress and why is it important? No?
I would say that word stress emphasizes more on the meaning of the word. For example, if we take the word import, we have 2 syllables, but the stress on the first one will give a different meaning if we give a stress on the second syllable.
Of course, it causes misunderstandings. Maybe your example was fine. Let me give you another example. For instance,
I'm sorry, and the meaning wholly can be changed.
Yes, that you said that very well. Let me give you an example here. We have record. What does that mean, record? What is a record?
That means something written or remembered, something.
Yeah, it's a document. We call it a
Like
record.
a document, yes.
And if I say record, what is it now?
As a verb, yes. To film.
To take notes of something.
Can anyone help with record?
For example, record sounds. An
Very
action.
good.
Verb.
Or that was excellent. Or record a meeting, or record a speech. So here we have the activity versus the document. And if we don't know the difference between the two, that can create misunderstandings. And that is expressed here in the second part when we say changing stress changes meaning. Now, are there any rules in English which we possibly could give our students so they don't have difficulties with that? I remember when I was a student of English, obviously I was born in a different country, and so I grew up with a different native language and had to learn English. It was extremely hard for me, and I was always confused with the word stress. Are there any rules we can give our students? Are you aware of that?
As far as I know, I do not think that there are any rules.
Okay. Any other opinion?
I didn't catch your question.
My question was, are there any rules for English word stress? In fact, let me shorten that here. There are rules. There are not many rules, but there are some. I remember our English teacher always said, you have to learn the pronunciation.
dirigindo, e o Afar falou que os professores.
Yeah, if you are here, you have to speak English in this presentation so everybody understands. There are a few rules in English. For instance, just one. All two-syllable words in English, or most two-syllable words, are stressed on the first syllable. Or we have words with re. If it means again, then RE is stressed. So they are just two. So what can we do to help our students here with word stress? Obviously, listening exercises where they have to underline the stressed syllables. We have chants and rhythm activities. I like to do clapping exercises in my classes, which students very much appreciate. They find that funny. And then once we have practiced the words, we embed them in role-playing scenarios, and we practice them like that. So that's word stress. Now, what are hands-on exercises? Students listen to a text, and they have to underline, they have to mark the stressed syllable. And then you can teach stress rules at the same time, and in that way improve stress, word stress, with your students. Now, coming into area number 2, which is the rhythm. How come we speak of rhythm? Can somebody explain to me what is English rhythm?
I would say that maybe the rhythm is when the pitch of the voice goes up or down. For example, when it's affirmative sentence, the pitch goes down, and if it's a question, it goes up till the end.
Yes, this is what you are saying. This is correct, but this is intonation. Intonation is another field of phonology. The rhythm in English is created by stressed and unstressed syllables. And I practice that in my classes. My students have to mark the stressed syllables, and then we clap whenever there is a stressed syllable. So English is a stress timed. That means there is a change between stressed and unstressed syllables, and that makes the rhythm. And so if I give you a sentence, for instance, I don't stress it correctly now. I want to go to school. Which words are the ones I have to stress, speak more forceful, and which are the ones I don't have to stress? Who can help me here? I want to go to school.
But before anyone answers her, I want to let you know that for those of you that have joined the meeting a little bit late because the problem with the link, this session will be recorded and available on our website. And don't forget that at the end of the webinar, a link will be provided where you can fill it out to receive your free certificate of attendance of this webinar. And make sure you also share around, tag us on Instagram and all the other social media, and we will repost it. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, let me continue here. We want to figure out more or less which words are stressed in English and which are not. Let me help you here.
If I'm not mistaken, we mainly choose notional parts of speech, yes? In the sentence, like nouns, pronouns.
Mhm. So let me give those who don't know some keys. If I tell you the word pillow, what do you imagine when you hear that word? Who's out there and can help me?
Sleep time, for example?
Yeah.
Pillow?
What pillow do you imagine?
It can be used in many ways. For the pillow of strength kind of expression, an object that we put our head on in order to get to sleep. It has so
Yeah.
many means.
So it's the pillow we sleep on, maybe. If I say a table, what comes to your mind when you hear that word?
A piece of furniture.
Very good. Now tell us, is it a big table? Is it a small table? What do you have at home?
Like big table.
Yeah. Okay. Now if
Exactly,
I say,
big table.
yeah,
Dining time, meal.
good. What about if I say the word in? Can you imagine anything when you hear the word in?
It's a preposition.
Yeah, that's what we know from grammar. But if you hear the word just in, does your brain create an association?
No.
Inside somewhere, maybe.
Yeah, good. Whoever said no agrees with me. There is no association. If I say to, do you have an association with the word?
No.
So we can safely assume that in English, we have words that create content. We call them content words. And other words, you said it properly, they are prepositions that help us put the sentence together. And here we have the rule for a sentence stress in English. We stress words that have content. We call them content words. We stress them. The other words in the sentence, to, in, up, they just help us to hold the sentence together. We call them function words. And function words are not stressed, only the content words. And this is where the rhythm of English comes into existence, as we have a switch between content and function words, and that creates the rhythm of English. So how do we practice that? First of all, we have to engage our students in listening activities where they have that change between content and function words. So they have to underline those words that are stressed. And after they have done this activity, they start practicing that themselves and finally have to read the text appropriately. That is how we practice that. Now, just as we did before with word stress, we start with listening, then we have to have our students speak these sentences with varying pace and intonation, and we break down the sentences to practice them and eventually engage in role playing. Now, we talked about sentence stress before, and now we come to an area which we call intonation. Who of you can tell me what intonation is?
I think, as I said before, the pitch of the voice when it goes up and down.
Correct, but it's not necessarily now the word. It's when we have questions and statements, then intonation comes into play.
It's voice modifier, yes? A kind of modifier of voice.
Yeah. So who can help me here? If I have a yes/no question, what would the intonation be?
Good evening. I think intonation is the melody of speech, the rise and fall.
Yeah, you said that nicely, and that's good what you did now. Now, if I have a yes/no question, what would the intonation be?
I think your intonation will be rising.
Very good. And then we have WH questions. Who is familiar with that? If you know already, you can help me here.
Furthermore, we can say it's signal sentence type, such as question versus statement.
Very good.
Then speaker attitude, for example, surprise or doubt. That's all.
Correct. So statements, we usually have falling intonation, and fall, rise, doubt, reservation. So intonation is very important to convey the meaning of the sentence, and we have to practice that with our students to get their message across. How would we do that? With role-playing dialogues, we use minimal pairs and shadow native
Role
speakers.
plays. And role plays also will help.
Role play. Yeah. So intonation practice, we do that in the classroom, obviously. We said it already for statements, and for questions, we have to practice that with our students because it's not always the same pattern in their native language. And now, if we want to express emotions, I usually make a funny exercise in class. Students like it, and I tell them they have to greet somebody with hello. Now, my question is, when you see a friend and you haven't seen the friend for a long time, how would you say hello? Who can help us here?
I think
I would
after
say
a long
long
period
time
of
no see.
time, I will say, oh, hello.
Okay. Anybody else? How would you say it? You haven't seen the friend in a long time.
Long time no see.
Well, that's a totally different statement, which people say you are correct. But if you use hello, what would you say?
For instance, great to see you.
Yeah, that is another statement that expresses our emotions. Now, if you say to me, great to see you, I'm not really convinced you like to see me. How can you say it that I truly believe you are excited to see me after a long time?
Like, oh my God, it has been ages. Something like that we can say. Like, long time no see.
Can you sample it?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Can you sample it? Can you say it so we hear how you would greet a friend you haven't seen for a long time?
Like, first of all, we show our expressions, like, oh my God, oh, hello, like this. It's like great expressions. And we
Good.
just want to convey our expression, our excitement.
Yes, you explained it to us. I wanted to have an example. If I see you and you are my friend, I would say, Oh my God, I haven't seen you for such a long time. What happened to you? Does that sound like somebody who has seen somebody after a long time? Or can you make it better?
I think it's an emotional behavior when we say like this, but like this, it's emotional. Just I think like this.
Now let's leave the friend, and I guess you all have a boss for whom you have to work. Now you see your boss coming in the street, and you really don't like to see the boss, but you have to say hello in order to be polite. How would you say hello?
And we say informal version, good morning, polite, and in falling intonation.
Can you sample it again?
We should just say informal. For instance, good morning, Mr. or Mrs. And we have to be polite and falling intonation.
Okay, now you explained it to us how it should be done, and you use different words. If I see somebody I really don't like to see, I probably say, hello. Do you agree?
Yes, sure.
I didn't understand you.
Like we have to say hello in a serious way. Yes, hello, good morning.
Okay.
Or we just make it short and we say just hi.
Yeah.
Oh, respectful.
Yes, that is really short. Yeah, you can say it like that. Good.
Respectful.
The reason I have to laugh is because I usually say hi if I meet somebody. Yeah. What did you want to say?
I want to say we can say in a respectful way, but warm. Good to see you, for instance.
Yeah. Okay. That's obviously possible. All right. And then we record this practice session and we exchange feedback with peers, whether they agree or disagree. If I do that in my classes, I usually have fun with the students. We have to laugh. So, when we have our students in class, we have pronunciation challenges. With the language background where I come from, the pronunciation challenge is that people cannot speak the TH properly. What is a pronunciation challenge in your language background when you teach English? Is there any sound where students have difficulties which you have to practice more than others?
There are some sounds that we don't have in our L1, but we have to teach them to our students somehow. So some sounds that we have in our native language, but we don't have it in the target language, but that we are going to learn.
Yeah, well, obviously, we have the International Phonetic Alphabet, the IPA. I have not come up with an example here. We want to just mention it. And if I have students who come from my language background, I know already that they have difficulties with the TH and they are looking for a sound to replace it, and obviously that creates miscommunication. So now when we talk to our students in class and we identify the pronunciation difficulties, we can do that in a group, as you can see here. In an adult class, we incorporate them in identifying the mistakes, and then we come up with targeted strategies. So now, how does that work in your classes? I wanted to know. Do you teach separate sessions of, let me call it phonology, that comprises everything we heard, the stress, the sounds, the intonations, phonology. Do you teach phonology separately, or how do you handle it in your classes?
I would say the phonology it's included within the reading and speaking. What I do, for example, is I make them read out loud, and during that process, I try to fix their phonology problem.
Now, I understand during the reading process. What kind of reading is it?
Well, it's a text. For example, it depends on the students. When they're senior students, mostly it's a long paragraph, and we discuss it. You know, and I give each one, for example, normally if the class it's outnumbered, let's say it's 20, I give 2 sentences per each out loud, and then we fix their pronunciation problems.
And is that phonology practice as part of a regular class, or do you teach it separately so that you say, hey students, today we have to work on your phonology and I have a text here which we want to read together? Do you do it like that?
Yes,
in
I
our
do.
textbooks, I'm sorry, in our
No
textbooks there are
problem,
also
Anita, it's okay.
there are also tongue twisters that help us to enrich their phonetic thinking.
Yeah, we come to tongue twisters in just a moment. That, of course, is a very funny way, and I know there's always laughter when we do that. Go ahead, speak. Yeah, I couldn't understand the gentleman. To sum this up, if you have it in your textbook unit, it's usually within a theme of the class, and that is how it should be done. So we should not say today is phonology time, we practice whatever we made wrong in that unit. It should be incorporated in the topic you teach in that particular class. What do you understand by topic?
Subject.
Yes. So tell me, before we continue here, what's your favorite topic? What do you like to teach?
For example, me enjoying teaching phonetics, correcting there randomly each time, even if it's listening or they are reading. Every time if they are mistaken, we teach and correct them.
Okay, so it's part of.
For example, when they want to speak English, they think that it's every time they need to tell "w" instead of "v," and we teachers teach them that, for example, "we" is labiodental sound and "w" is bilabial sound, and it's always funny when we bring some examples.
Okay, all right. So to sum this up,
maybe decoding the stage. For example, beginning reading. Students connect sounds, for example, phonemes to letters, phonics. Maybe map MAP and MAP, or phonology supports decoding and spelling.
Okay. Later on, I'll show you a little class where we embed whatever we talked about in terms of phonology practice, how we incorporate that in a little class and practice all of that. But to sum this up, phonology should always be part of the teaching and not today is our phonology class and we practice what you made wrong throughout that time. It should be part of an ongoing class embedded in a specific theme, and then you have to look up words, of course, in your preparation that would be useful here.
Can we say that we use phonology during emergent literacy, pre-reading stage?
I would, if I have, let's say, a receptive skill class where we have either listening or reading, I would practice that in that environment. And the listening I would use not only to get the gist and specific information, I would also add a phonology activity where they have to underline distressed syllable as an example of work in phonetics. So I wouldn't do it separately from everything. And then in the reading, after I have practiced that before, then they would have to prove to me that they read the words which are in that text properly. And this is how you would embed the phonology practice within a receptive skill class here. And obviously you could also embed it in a speaking class, depends on your preparation. Okay?
Okay.
Now, students usually have difficulties with minimal pairs. I mentioned it earlier. Minimal pairs, for instance, deep and dip and sheep and chip. So whenever it is appropriate in our classes, we create such activities. We can employ the students for doing that and then practice that in our classes. You mentioned tongue twisters. And do you have a favorite tongue twister? Nobody has a favorite tongue twister?
Can we use the mouth awareness practice?
Yeah, just name one, which you usually use in class.
Or minimal pair chain games? Or just
no,
meaning-based?
We are with the next topic, tongue twisters, and here we have sound practice.
What we would do without you. Sometimes we use it in order to practice W sound. What we would do without you.
Okay, that exactly you use. Do you have another one? Whoever wants to contribute. Okay, if you can't come up with one right now, tongue twisters are important for sound practice, and there is a website, www.tonguetwisters.com, and here you find a tongue twister for almost every sound. It's usually funny to do that.
For example, big black box split blue blood.
Okay, good.
B and P, yes, minimal pairs.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, I even also use the simple one, especially like red lorry, yellow lorry. I think it's great for R and L for differences. And I
Correct.
think
Go ahead, speak.
And my students also have favorite tongue twisters like I saw a kitten eating chicken in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good. So tongue twisters are always fun in the class. And the best practice we can have for sounds. Now, obviously, here we see a children class. We practice stress and rhythm through music. YouTube has a ton of songs which we can use, and they are very funny and entertaining for students. Do you actually use songs with adults? If nobody says anything, that means no, not really. But we have the tongue twisters, which are good for the adults, whereas the songs then stay with the children. We can engage our students to create chants and rhymes. They gladly do that. And then we have an online, I collected a page full of resources of websites which we can use to practice pronunciation, recording sites, pronunciation apps and software, and then there are other online resources. I'll show that then at the end. Some ideas for correction. If somebody mispronounces the sound and it's part of the class, how do you usually correct the student?
Sometimes I offer a new chance for them. Like I ask them, could you please repeat your sentence? I just want my students find their mistake, and I just want my students correct their mistakes.
Okay, that is very good if you do that, because students feel better if they can self-correct. If they cannot self-correct, what do you do?
We can use echo correction. Echo correct. We can say the correct variant, like with rising tone, and they'll catch that they have mistake. They'll correct themselves. Echo correction.
Once the student has failed in self-correction, do you correct right away, or how do you handle it?
I correct their mistake, and then we repeat many times, again and again, until they make it in a true way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If it's in the class, I let another student.
Very good. You see, as teachers, we should come at the end. Students feel better when they can self-correct or the peers correct, and then finally the teacher corrects.
Or just we can use clarification requests, yes? For example, sorry, did you say think or think, for example? This makes the student notice the difference themselves.
Very good. So we should always opt for self-correction if we can. If not, the teacher is the last one. Okay, we have here some notes regarding the impact of language 1 on students, that they have fear of making mistakes. Obviously, we have to give them sufficient practice. And then you may have to cover some of the phonological rules in order to help them. In the overview I have with the websites here, students can work in a self-sufficient manner in order to improve their pronunciation, and there are certain sites referenced that will help them to do that. So now, whatever we have learned about stress, rhythm, and intonation, and we want to come up with, or I have prepared a little lesson plan that shows you how I would teach stress, rhythm, and intonation in one class. Let me show you that lesson plan. One moment, please. I guess you can all see my screen. And here I have listed how I would teach stress, rhythm, and intonation by planning a surprise birthday party. Have you ever planned a surprise birthday party?
No.
I had one, and I remember I taught in the English school, and it was my birthday. And suddenly the door went open and a student came in and said, "Could you please come to the office? We have a problem over here." And I thought, oh, wow, what problem could it be? So I went to the office, and guess what? They had set a table with a huge birthday cake and flowers, and the entire school celebrated my birthday on that day. That was very memorable. And if you say you never did that, maybe that gives you an idea how to surprise somebody. So I can speak out of my experience. And here, what students will learn, they identify stressed versus unstressed words. They practice through groups and rhythm. And in the engage phase, I ask the students if they have ever prepared a surprise birthday party. So, and then we talk about what they have to, who they invite, what they have to organize, what food. And here already, the lady's name is Emma. And if you see my screen here, you see that some of the words are capitalized. Who could read that sentence dramatically? Can anyone help?
Yes, I can read. We can't tell Emma.
Correct.
We
And the
emphasize
second one, is there somebody who wants to read the second one?
Are you sure she doesn't know?
Wow, you are almost perfect in preparing surprise birthday party in English. And the last sentence?
We need to book the restaurant today.
Why do we say it like that?
From the last sentence, I got we have to emphasize all the words except we and the restaurant. Yes, right?
Yeah,
Because
well,
book, today, all the words are in capital.
yes, but it depends on how we say the sentence. But here it stresses the time factor that we have to do that today. Okay? So,
for instance, how can you read the last sentence? I need your just sample. Can you read, please? I ask you the last sentence, the third
okay,
sentence.
I would read it as such, stressing that we have to take care of that. We need to book the restaurant today. So that's how I would read it.
Thank you so much.
To make sure it's done today. Now, what do we have here? We ask our students which words sound stronger. Does the voice go up or down? So we elicit stress and intonation. Then we have sentence stress, which we practice. And who can read the first sentence?
We need to book the restaurant today.
Good. Second sentence. Who can read that? Now, capitalized word means stressed.
We need to book the restaurant today.
We need to book the restaurant today.
Mm-hmm. And what does that sentence express?
We need to book the restaurant today.
That's the last one. Okay? And that's the time factor. With the second sentence, I could understand we need to book the restaurant today. Maybe there is another way of getting the restaurant space by placing an order. So we teach them content words and function words the way I said it earlier today in our session. And then we clap the stress. We need to book the restaurant today. And in that way, I help my students to do that. The stress time rhythm appears to, because of the switch of content and function words, and verbs are content words. Now, we go to the last part of the class, and here we practice the intonation. It says here we should express surprise. How do you read that sentence here? Who can do that?
You invited her?
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Can anyone say that more dramatically?
Oh no, you invited her.
Possible. Or you invited her. That is also possible. Now, we practice emotions here in that class. Just to have some fun here, how would you say shocked? You invited John. I don't say it shocked. I want you to say it shocked. How would you say it?
Oh my gosh, you invited her?
Yeah, okay, you invited her. That's the previous sentence. We wanted to use you invited John.
Really? You invited John?
You are almost, I'm going to hire you for my class. That was good. And how do you secretly whisper?
Come on, you invited John.
Yeah, you sound annoyed with that. Okay, then
You invited John?
Yeah, very
You
good.
just whispered John.
Yeah, you invited John. So
Yeah.
as you can see, pronunciation can make really fun. And then you have to, now we come into the activate part, the fluency activity. You have to role play, secretly planning a call, and it tells you here what you have to discuss. So as you can see, they have to role play, and then we can make, or we can say, who has the most natural rhythm, the best intonation, or the most dramatic stress. That's what we can do here. Now, let's come to the last part of our session.